Have you ever dreamed of picking your own fresh fruit, even in the middle of winter? Of stepping onto your balcony and touching branches filled with blossoms in spring, and ripening fruit by summer, still alive even as the air turns cold? Most believe fruit trees belong only in big orchards under endless sun, that you need space, warmth, and years of waiting. But what if you could grow your own harvest right where you are, in pots, on a patio, or by a sunny window, even through the coldest winter? Tonight, we'll explore 10 cold, hardy fruit trees that thrive in small spaces and bring sweetness all year round. Each one is tough, beautiful, and ready to flourish, even in the frost. So, get comfortable and let's wander through this little orchard together, where every tree has a story and every season offers new life. 1. Dwarf blueberry bush, the cold survivor. If there's one plant that seems born for container life in northern gardens, it's the blueberry. It's compact, beautiful year-round, and astonishingly resilient, thriving where many fruit trees would struggle. More than that, it's one of those rare plants that gives back in every season. Blossoms in spring, berries in summer, fiery leaves in autumn, and sculptural branches in winter. While technically not a tree, the dwarf blueberry bush earns its place among the greats of the small space orchard. Hardy varieties like North Sky, Top Hat, and Sunshine Blue stay compact, rarely more than 2 or 3 feet tall, yet produce an impressive yield of plump, sweet berries. These little powerhouses can survive temperatures as low as 30 degrees, 34 degrees, making them champions of the cold and perfect for balcony gardeners, patio growers, or anyone with limited ground space. Blueberries have one special requirement: they need acidic soil. Ordinary garden soil won't do. They thrive best in a mix that mimics the forest floor. Combine peat moss, pine bark, and coarse sand for a slightly acidic, airy medium that keeps their fine roots happy and well-drained. If your tap water is alkaline, consider watering with rainwater or slightly acidified water to maintain the right balance. They also appreciate consistent moisture, not too dry, not too wet. A layer of pine bark or wood chip mulch on top helps hold humidity and protect the shallow roots from temperature swings. In spring, blueberry bushes put on a delightful show of delicate white, bell-shaped flowers, each one a promise of fruit to come. They attract pollinators like bees and hoverflies, adding life and movement to your container garden. By mid to late summer, those flowers transform into clusters of round, deep blue berries that hang like jewels. Cool to the touch, dusky-skinned, and bursting with flavor. When you pluck one fresh from the bush and pop it into your mouth, the taste is unforgettable. A mix of sweet and tangy that feels pure and clean, like the essence of summer, mornings. And as if the fruit weren't enough, autumn brings another gift. The leaves of the blueberry turn brilliant shades of red, orange, and bronze, giving your garden one last burst of color before winter's rest. Even in the cold months, when the branches stand bare, they retain an elegant structure, slender, graceful, and alive with quiet promise. Come spring, the cycle begins anew. Buds swell, flowers return, and another season of beauty and abundance unfolds. Dwarf blueberries prove that even in the smallest pots, even on the coldest balconies, nature finds a way to thrive. They're more than just fruit plants. They're symbols of endurance and renewal, thriving where others fade, rewarding patience with sweetness year after year. 2. Dwarf pear tree, graceful, reliable, and rewarding. If the apple is the sturdy heart of the orchard, then the pear is its soul. Elegant, refined, and quietly enchanting. There's something about the way a pear tree grows that feels graceful. Tall, upright, and symmetrical, with soft, glossy leaves that shimmer faintly in the wind. When it blooms, it's like a snowfall of white petals drifting through early spring air, delicate and pure, filling the garden with a light, fresh fragrance. Pears have always been a symbol of abundance and beauty. Ancient poets wrote of them as gifts of the gods, and even today their fruit holds a timeless charm. Smooth-skinned, golden or green, with that unmistakable scent of autumn sweetness. For those who garden in small spaces or colder regions, dwarf pear trees are a true delight. Varieties such as Patent, Ure, and Luscious are particularly cold-hardy, bred to thrive in northern climates where frost is a familiar visitor. They're also ideal for containers, staying compact while producing full-sized, juicy fruit. Choose a large, heavy pot, at least 20 gallons, since pear trees like room for their roots to stretch deep and steady. Fill it with nutrient-rich, well-draining soil. A mix of compost, loam, and perlite works beautifully. Place your tree in a spot that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily, as pears need strong light to develop their characteristic sweetness and aroma. Most pear trees are not self-pollinating, meaning they'll produce best when paired with another compatible variety. If space allows, grow 2 dwarf pears side by side. Their blossoms will pollinate each other, doubling your harvest and creating a breathtaking spring display. If not, you can companion them with a nearby ornamental crabapple, which often blooms at the same time and attracts the same pollinators. Throughout the growing season, water regularly but avoid over-soaking the roots. A steady rhythm, moist but never soggy, keeps the tree healthy and productive. In late winter or very early spring, before new growth begins, prune gently to remove crowded or crossing branches. This opens the canopy to sunlight and air, ensuring strong fruiting spurs for the year ahead. As the seasons pass, your patience will be rewarded. By late summer or early autumn, green fruits will begin to swell and blush with hints of yellow and gold. Unlike many fruits, pears ripen best after they're picked, a small wonder of nature. Harvest them when they're firm but mature and let them rest indoors for a few days. Soon they soften into that perfect buttery texture, releasing a fragrance that feels like late September afternoons, mellow, honeyed, and calm. A bowl of homegrown pears isn't just a treat, it's a symbol of care and time well spent. Their gentle sweetness, their smooth skin, their quiet ripening, all of it mirrors the slow rhythm of the seasons themselves. With each bite, you taste patience, sunlight, and the tender work of your own hands. 3. Dwarf cherry tree, sweet rewards in small spaces. If the apple is the steady classic, the cherry tree is the poet of the garden. Graceful, fleeting, and breathtakingly beautiful. Every spring, its blossoms appear like clouds of pale pink and white, swaying softly in the breeze. Even a single tree can turn an ordinary patio into something enchanting, a place where the air smells faintly of sugar and hope. Dwarf varieties such as Stella, Compact Stella, and Carmine Jewel are true gems for container gardeners. They're remarkably cold-hardy, surviving frost that would damage many other fruits, and most are self-pollinating, meaning one tree can bear fruit all on its own. That makes them perfect for anyone working with limited space or small urban balcony. To grow a happy cherry tree in a pot, start with a deep container. 18 to 24 inches is ideal, and ensure it has good drainage holes. A mix of compost, garden soil, and perlite or sand creates the perfect loose texture that cherry roots adore. Place your pot where it will catch plenty of sunlight, 6 to 8 hours per day, but if possible, let it rest in slightly cooler evening air. The contrast between warm days and cooler nights helps cherries develop that signature sweet tart flavor. In early spring, before the leaves unfurl, the buds swell and open in a stunning display. A gentle blush of white and rose across every branch. It's one of the most beautiful sights in all of gardening. Pollinators like bees and butterflies will quickly visit, ensuring a bountiful crop later on. By early summer, small green fruits appear, slowly turning red, deep crimson, or even black depending on the variety. When ripe, they hang like tiny jewels, glossy, round, and irresistible. Harvest them gently, leaving a bit of stem to avoid damaging the fruit. Water your cherry tree regularly, especially during fruit development, as dry soil can make the cherries split. Fertilize lightly in spring and again after harvest to support next year's blooms. After the fruiting season, prune the tree's canopy just enough to maintain its compact, open shape and remove any spent or crossing branches. Through the seasons, this little tree will tell its own story. Spring's fragile flowers, summer's bounty, autumn's glowing leaves, and winter's elegant bare branches, standing strong in the cold. And when you pick that first handful of cherries, cool, shiny, and bursting with juice, you'll understand why so many gardeners fall in love with this tree. It's more than just fruit. It's a cycle of beauty, resilience, and reward, repeating quietly year after year right outside your door. 4. Fig tree. Mediterranean warmth, northern resilience. Figs carry the spirit of the Mediterranean, warm breezes, golden sunlight, and slow summer afternoons. They've been cultivated for thousands of years, once treasured by ancient Greeks and Romans for their honey-sweet fruit and graceful leaves. But here's a little-known secret. You don't have to live under Mediterranean skies to enjoy them. Some fig varieties have adapted beautifully to container growing, and even to colder climates where winter's bite and frost paints the windows. Two stars of the cold hardy world are Chicago hardy and brown turkey, beloved by urban gardeners and small space growers alike. When planted in pots, these figs remain compact, usually topping out at 4 to 6 feet tall, yet they produce an astonishing number of fruits each year. Even better, they can survive winter lows down to around 10 degrees Celsius to status 12 of the once they go dormant. In warm months, figs love sunlight and heat. Place your container in a spot that gets at least 8 hours of sun per day, where the soil can warm easily. Use a large pot, about 16 to 20 inches wide, filled with a rich, well-draining mix of compost, sand, and loam. These trees dislike sitting in soggy soil, so ensure the container has good drainage holes. A layer of pebbles or coarse bark at the bottom helps keep roots aerated. During the growing season, water deeply whenever the top few inches of soil begin to dry, and feed every month or so with compost tea or an organic fertilizer high in potassium. This encourages abundant fruiting and keeps the foliage lush and green. As the seasons turn and frost approaches, simply move your potted fig to a sheltered space. An unheated garage, enclosed porch, or basement is perfect. Once the leaves drop, the tree rests quietly through winter, storing up strength for the next growing season. You can even wrap the container in burlap or insulating material to protect the roots from temperature swings. In spring, as daylight lengthens and the air softens, buds will swell again, and before long, new leaves unfurl, broad and deeply lobed, casting gentle shade over the pot. By late summer or early autumn, you'll see the true reward: clusters of plump figs forming along the stems, soft to the touch and faintly fragrant. When ripe, they're warm and heavy, their skin stretching slightly with sweetness. Each bite is a small miracle, honeyed, floral, and rich, like sunlight you can taste. Few fruits feel so luxurious, and fewer still grow so easily in a humble pot. With figs, you bring a touch of the Mediterranean to your doorstep. Warmth, resilience, and the quiet reminder that abundance can thrive even in the smallest spaces. 5. Dwarf peach tree. Sweet summer in a pot. There's something almost magical about peaches. Maybe it's their fragrance, that soft, sun-warmed sweetness that drifts through the air on summer afternoons, or the way their golden skin blushes pink under sunlight. Whatever it is, a peach tree feels like the essence of summer itself. And the best part? You can grow that joy right on your patio or balcony. Dwarf peach trees, such as Bonanza, Golden Glory, or El Dorado, are perfect for container life. They stay small, usually around 5 to 6 feet tall, and yet they bear full-sized, juicy fruit that rivals any orchard harvest. Even in cooler regions, these trees can thrive when given sunlight, well-drained soil, and a little protection from late frosts. Start with a 15-20-gallon pot, ideally made of a breathable material like clay or fabric that allows excess water to escape. Fill it with a mix of rich loam, compost, and a bit of coarse sand or perlite for drainage. Peaches like moisture but hate standing water, so make sure the soil drains freely. Set your pot where it receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. The more, the better. These trees adore warmth, and strong sunlight is the key to both sweet fruit and healthy growth. Feed with a balanced, slow-release organic fertilizer in early spring, then again lightly after the fruiting season. One of the great joys of growing peaches is their early bloom. Before the first leaves even appear, the bare branches suddenly explode with pale pink flowers. Delicate, fragrant, and full of promise. It's a breathtaking sight after the quiet of winter. But because these blooms are early, they're also delicate, vulnerable to late frosts. If frost threatens, simply drape a light cloth over the tree overnight, or move the pot into a protected spot until temperatures rise again. Through spring and summer, keep the soil slightly moist and thin, out small developing fruits if they are crowded. This helps the remaining ones grow larger and juicier. As the fruit ripens, you'll see soft, fuzz-covered peaches glowing gold in rows, ready to pick. There's truly nothing like biting into one straight from the branch. Warm, fragrant, and dripping with juice. After harvest, prune lightly to maintain the tree's compact shape and remove any dead or crossing wood. This not only keeps it tidy, but also encourages stronger flowering the next year. Over time, your potted peach tree becomes more than just a plant. It becomes a seasonal ritual, a companion that announces summer with color, fragrance, and sweetness. Even in the cold months, when its branches are bare, the memory of that taste, sunlit, soft, and impossibly fresh, lingers like a promise. Because every spring, it will bloom again. And once more, summer will find its way back to your doorstep, carried on the scent of peaches. 6. Dwarf plum tree, jewel of the cold orchard. If there's a tree that quietly bridges strength and beauty, it's the plum. Among fruit trees, plums are understated. Not as famous as apples, not as showy as cherries. Yet they're often the most dependable companions of the northern garden. They bear gracefully, endure frost without complaint, and deliver fruit that glows like jewels hidden among their leaves. Dwarf plum varieties such as Mount Royal, Toka, or Stanley are perfect for container growing, and they perform remarkably well even where winters are long and harsh. Compact and tidy, they reach about 6 to 8 feet in height, making them ideal for patios, terraces, or small backyards. Despite their modest size, they yield generous crops. Firm, juicy plums with rich, complex flavors that range from honey sweet to pleasantly tart. Plant your dwarf plum in a deep container, at least 18 to 24 inches wide and equally deep, filled with fertile, well-draining soil. A blend of compost, garden loam, and coarse sand or perlite gives the perfect balance between moisture and aeration. Plums appreciate consistent watering, especially when setting and growing fruit. Let the top inch of soil dry slightly between waterings, but never allow it to bake completely. During the season, feed your tree every few weeks with organic fertilizer or compost tea. The extra nourishment keeps leaves glossy and fruit plentiful. Plums prefer full sunlight, thriving best with at least 6 hours of bright exposure daily. In areas with very hot summers, a touch of afternoon shade can help prevent leaf scorch. Each spring, before the fruit appears, the tree puts on a breathtaking show of white blossoms, pure and cloud-like, with a fragrance that feels crisp and clean. A gentle reminder that warmth is returning. Those blooms soon give way to clusters of small green fruits, which swell and ripen through summer, gradually turning gold, crimson, or deep purple, depending on the variety. By midsummer or early fall, the branches often bend under their weight, each fruit glimmering like a polished gem. Harvest time is a celebration. Plums fresh from the tree are incomparable. They're juicy and fragrant, with a flavor that's both bright and comforting. You can enjoy them straight away or turn them into preserves, tarts, or even a spiced jam that captures the memory of summer in every spoonful. After fruiting, prune lightly to maintain balance and shape, removing dead or inward-facing branches. This encourages new growth and keeps the tree open to air and sunlight. Through autumn, the leaves turn to shades of gold and scarlet, giving a final blaze of color before winter's rest. Even when bare, a dwarf plum tree carries quiet dignity, a reminder of the season's rhythm and renewal. And when spring returns, it will bloom again without fail, white petals fluttering like the year's first snow. Strong, resilient, and ever generous, the plum truly is the jewel of the cold orchard. Proof that even the harshest climates can nurture sweetness if given a little care and hope. 7. Dwarf apricot tree, golden light for cold days. Few fruits embody the warmth of summer quite like the apricot. That soft golden orange glow, that smooth velvety skin, and that delicate sweetness with just a hint of tartness. It feels like holding a little piece of sunlight in your hand. And the best part? You don't need an orchard to grow them. With a dwarf apricot tree in a pot, you can enjoy that same taste of summer even if your garden space is no bigger than a balcony. Dwarf varieties such as Moorpark and Goldcott are legends among cold climate gardeners. Unlike their delicate southern cousins, these apricots are bred for resilience, capable of withstanding frost and short growing seasons. They flower early, burst into color quickly, and reward patience with some of the most aromatic fruit you can grow in a container. Set your apricot in a large, deep pot. Around 20 gallons is ideal, filled with rich, well-draining soil. A mixture of compost, sand, and loamy garden soil works beautifully, giving the roots space to breathe while holding enough moisture to sustain steady growth. Apricots love full sunlight, at least 6 to 8 hours a day, and will thrive when placed in the warmest, sunniest corner of your patio or yard. Because they bloom early, their blossoms are delicate and vulnerable to late spring frosts. When you see those pale pink and white flowers unfurling before the leaves even appear, keep an eye on the weather. If cold nights are expected, gently cover the tree with a breathable frost cloth, or move the container to a sheltered porch for the evening. It's a small act of care that can mean the difference between a few blooms and a full crop of glowing fruit. As the petals fall and tiny green apricots begin to form, thin the fruit by removing some of the smallest or most crowded ones. This may seem counterintuitive, but it allows the remaining apricots to grow larger, juicier, and more flavorful, concentrating the sweetness into every golden orb. Feed your tree with compost or organic fertilizer in early spring, and again mid-season, and water consistently through dry spells, keeping the soil moist but never soggy. By midsummer, the tree transforms. The once small green fruits swell and deepen in color until they glow a soft amber orange. Their fragrance becomes irresistible, a gentle honeyed perfume that lingers in the warm air. Harvest time is pure joy. The fruits practically fall into your hands, their skin warm from the sun, their flesh rich and tender. One bite and it's as if the world slows down. That golden sweetness melts on your tongue, carrying with it a whisper of sunshine and the memory of all the days you tended it. For cold climate gardeners, few rewards are sweeter than an apricot ripened by your own care, a promise that even in cool northern air, summer always finds its way back.